Hey guys, Tarke here with another update for Mayhem Day 6, 7, I don't know yet. Level 99, sadly not level 100 yet. I said in the last video we were going for 100 in one sitting. I messed up and forgot it was a Thursday. Thursday's always a wonky day to me. So we only had half the playtime that we wanted. So rather than doing a all-nighter, since it's currently 1 AM, we decided that we would have an early night, a full sleep, and then finish the push tomorrow. Since if we look over at Pee-wee Racing, Baz is quite substantially ahead of me in terms of XP. So Baz is at rank 8, I'm at rank 9 still, /ladder, /ladder, /ladder. Still rank 2 Saboteur, Zane hot 100 today, and then ripped right after it, which is a shame, but also not a shame. Good because he got 100, but if he'd ripped just for 100, then I would have been rank 1 Sabo, haha, but anyway. But also shame because he had really good gear, he had a hand touch, all this other stuff that was given to him by the Aussie group, which then went to the NA group, which would have then gone to the EU group, but Zane died with it. Anywho, so you can see that I am like this much in, and Baz is like this much in. So because I forgot it was a Thursday, Baz had actually like 4 or 5 hours of mapping without me, and that's just how far ahead he is. It should take him about 4 to 5 hours on our current XP rates for him to hit 100, and it should take me about 8 to 9 hours. Based on our current XP rate, assuming we get good hours on the next session. So that would have meant that we'd be finished around like 10 AM, and because he would fit 100 before me, he said, let's sleep now, I'll then get to 100 and I'll stay with you till you hit 100. So all quids in a redos. Kane has re-rolled onto a Juggernaut, and if we look at Jugs, he is... where is Kane? Here he is. He's rank 2 Juggery-doos. He's Curse on Hit. Curse on Hit Jug! 94, so rank 1 is dead. He has got someone behind him, but, you know, Kane should get rank 1 Juggery-doos with us tomorrow, assuming that none of us are Rippery-roos. With that being said, let's show you some highlights of the day. This was a rather bold moment. We've been skipping bosses for fairly obvious reasons, since my build is inspired by my map clear build. But we had a double boss Atoll, and we had the Undying, and got a little bit, well... Okay, quick.
Oh, OP strats, dude!
10 seconds, it's double boss. Oh, fuck. I don't think we're gonna get it.
No, 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6. Oh my god, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fuck my gears, run!
We're stuck in here now, we're stuck in here. We just bricked the map. Leave.
What?
Right, good job, boys.
Hardcore
strats, boys. Hardcore players leaving the boss room, hoo-hoo. But yeah, so we had an Undying Shrine. The Atoll boss is notoriously rippy with all of its fancy stuff, especially double boss. You'd never run it anyway. But we failed that DPS check, so any WoW boys out there might have enjoyed that. We also had a few other little, not so scary, but they were scary moments.
Vortex so overrated.
No, it's so good.
It's like no one really overrates it. It's just it's good single target, and it's good for very linear maps. Like I don't think.
There's
oh.
Nope.
That spooked me, man. I thought I was gone then. Now I got out very cleanly, but one thing I want you to just look at is how these guys int-slog. But look at Baz's life. So this is our Guardian. So this is what Guardian does in this situation. Also, points if you just look at the...
Vortex so overrated.
No, it's so good.
It's like no one really overrates it. It's just it's good single target, and it's good for very linear maps. Like I don't think... Spooked. Watch his HP. Oh! He decided to just tank it all, and it barely even chunked him. He has 11.2 KES, max res OP. It took him to like 9k. Oh. And he just strolls on through. Me, man. You can also see that whenever there's volatiles, he purposely like hugs volatiles because he gives so much max res to people. It's just like stand on me, face tank it. The problem is when he goes out of range, people have a tendency to rip. It's really irritating.
No, actually, maybe I can level up the Pride Peak.
What?
You just died to a volatile?
I just got... No, it wasn't volatile. I just got one-shot by Mayhem. 4.
So we had an argument of was it the volatile or the Narm which got him? We're still not entirely sure, but if you look at my mana pool, you can sort of see kind of what hit it. And yet you have to look through the mana pool. Thankfully, I go at just the right time. So we actually both went crazy out of position. So we'd cleared the map. We were just being greedy, like checking for loot and stuff. And there's a volatile on me. And it's running. Baz and Kane go up to the top to TP out. I'm just checking to see if there's any loot. Free Q's coming down. This is free Q. I get hit by a spear, gets me pretty low. And oof, you can see it connects just through the mana pool. So we're not entirely sure what got him, but it was definitely one of the two. And it was a clean Capauzo. One more time. I'm not sure. What do you reckon? Volatile or spear, chat? You can decide in the comments. Probably the volatile, but the spear did also hit me pretty hard. He had 5k life, 3k mana with Mom. So you're looking at like 7k-ish life. Although what you need to remember with Mom is that Mom only protects you for 30% of your maximum life. So when it comes to one-shots, even if you had, for example, you know, 3k life and 20k mana, you would die to a 4k one-tap, right? Because it's 30%. So the fact that you only had 5k life and 3k mana, that's not really 8k life. You know, that's more like 6, 7k. But anywho. Let's get into some map footage, but quickly. Back to the belly, 7k life. Also, phase run is now in a 4-link of increased duration, faster casting, enhanced phase run. Because phase run gives me 57% movement speed. It's kind of good, and it lasts a really long time. And when I have everything up, 219% movement speed. Woohoo, boys! And that is without haste aura from my support, which gives me even more. And also without haste aura from inspired learning and all this other stuff. So basically, that's why I didn't need the Queen of the Forest in the end. And I decided that I would just get more and more life. We're at 7k life. I've re-rigged the tree a little bit. It looks really weird. Basically, before I came down to Sarn life, but I didn't have all the points in it. And then I opened up Path of Building and was like, hang on. If I drop Sarn life, picked up Melding, picked up Chaos, picked up another Jewel, and these are the other jewels I'm running with. That's just because it fixes resist anyway. Would this be the same amount of life? And also I got to reshuffle this section since I no longer needed the dex requirements because I no longer need the Queen of the Forest. Remember before I went through like here, I gained an extra bit of ES and evasion here. Remember, because of the Guardian gives me a bunch of energy shield. By doing this big reshuffle, I lost something like 200 flat HP at the time, and gained 40% energy shield, a bunch of evasion scaling, 20% chaos resistance, so on and so forth. And I've actually gained all of that life back. So all I actually lost from the swap over was, drumroll please, 40% mana regen. So yeah, bit of a wonky tree. A normal solo tree without inspired learnings wouldn't look like this, but because that's root to this bit of Templar anyway, this just makes more sense. This node is attack and cast speed. The cast speed only helps my phase run and my detonate mines, but my detonate mines is already 0.08 cast, that's whatever. And we dropped the spell totem for a decoy totem to fit in the 4-link phase run because we don't boss, we only really map clear. The spell totem was very rarely ever being used, only really used in breaches, but we're not running breaches, only running strong boxes. So just having more faster casting on the phase run felt a lot better. It goes from a 0.33 to a 0.48. So it goes from that, one more time, to that. And also when you have Silver Flask up, goes up to 2.29, and that goes down by 0.1. So that was another advantage, because before I couldn't afford the Silver Flask, I had to run a Jade Flask with the Queen of Forest setup. Drop that for a Silver Flask. Silver Flask has more uptime than a Jade Flask, and it gives me a little bit of extra cast speed, which smooths up all the other things, and it makes the phase run feel smoother. So yeah, that's why we did all of that. Now let's just chill and talk over some map footage. There is a little surprise in this map footage. So, the main mapper redos that we have been doing for this push, and you can see I struggled a little bit to go over that wall there. We have Shore, we have Atoll, we have Racecourse, Dunes, Tropical Islands, Canyon, Castle Ruins. Have I missed anything out? We did Reef for a while, but Reef feels terrible. And Port. Fun fact, without telling us, Baz, our support, decided to give all of our port maps to Uberdan to turn into tier 16s at a chance for Shaper Gloves for his next Hierophant build, because when he gets his 100 Guardian, he's going to reroll a Hierophant. So there were some memes when we had a terrible hour. Port came up with Strongbox. We're like, oh yeah, Port. And he's like, actually, guys, we don't have any port maps. I've traded them all into tier 16s so that Uberdan can maybe get me Shaper Gloves in a voided 10-day, 6 days in for my next character. Not even this character, not even for the 100 push. But anyway, so that was just mildly amusing. We are sextant blocking everything. We put Biscos on when we are low on sextants. As you can see from the gameplay, we don't really pick up much loot. The only loot we really pick up are sextants, maps, sometimes Chaos Orbs. If a Chaos Orb is close, we pick it up. We've been getting 40 to 50 million XP per hour at level 99, which is a lot. And a lot of that has to do with the fact of just making the most out of, we have this 1 hour window. And again, if you don't know, the way that Mayhem works is every hour, all of the mods reroll. So the mods include 20 Invasion Monsters, 20 Rogue Exiles, 20 Tormented Spirits, 20 Strongboxes, 10 Breaches. Those jump from zone to zone to zone. There is a website called Pee-wee Craft where you can set like a favorite list of different maps. We put in all the different maps that we have between us on our atlas. We'll have different atlas, different things shaped. And then whenever one comes up with strong boxes, we see which is the highest tier. And the favorites are both Shore and Atoll. I'm also a big fan of Canyon because Canyon's just a up, down, up, down. Here we do a little trade as we set up the surprise. So I don't mind. You look at a little bit of downtime. This is terrible downtime. This is the most downtime you'll ever see in our hour going. What often happens is like we're chaining maps so hard that me and Kane will make a tea, put the tea down in front of us, and we don't have time to drink. We're literally just watching the tea get colder and colder, and then when it's eventually it's like basically completely lukewarm, when someone's doing a trade, we grab it and neck it and just do the whole thing. So here you can see we just traded some monstrous treasure cards. Exciting. Over to Baz, and I will skip ahead a little bit since I've kind of ruined the surprise here. I thought, oh, I'll do it just before the monstrous treasure run. And this was the support yesterday. He died, sadly. And he then gave us what map rolling currency he had since he did a Rippery Ruse. But here we go. Clickbait dismantle time monstrous treasure map, boys. Wait, not this one. This one's only 21 extra strong boxes. Oh. I just clickbaited myself. 57 extra strong boxes, boys. Monster treasure. Here we go. Pog champ. But yeah, so people meme about the buff bar. I think the buff bar is completely fine. You can clearly see my buffs. There's some of them. You know, there's power charges and endurance charges in there. Also, one small thing, because of the inspired learning making me pick up the extra endurance charge in Templar, and because my Guardian does Enduring Cry with Conduit, we actually get quite a lot of physical mitigation through the endurance charges, which when comboed with Pantheon and Taste of Hate or just a Basalt Flask, you get a absolutely absurd amount of physical mitigation. And that's one of the things that, as someone who really dislikes Pantheon, but actually has to say Pantheon's pretty good for some builds, the fact that it gives so much just raw, flat physical mitigation, when you stack it with things like Endurance Charges, Taste of Hate, Basalt Flask, whatever, you just end up getting to completely shrug off most physical damage, even on straight-up evasion characters, which this one is. Just because it's percentage-based, and percentage mitigation is pretty powerful, as is maximum resistances. Pretty good. The only thing which can really kill this character at this point is disconnects, Naeem projectiles, those bloody hurt. detonate deads, and that's why we roll over chance to avoid status ailments, because with that I won't reliably be shattering all the monsters, which makes this very, very sketchy indeed, because strongboxes will have detonate strongbox stuff. Also Shroud Walker, see my character's like teleporting around. There's a mod called Shroud Walker which I can steal. It's really frustrating. Basically my character just teleports every couple of seconds and makes a smoke cloud. The smoke cloud isn't even a good defense because I'm a saboteur fully ascended, so I blind everything anyway, and I drop smoke clouds when I get hit. But yeah, I'm waiting for the like massive bunch of bearers, and then I like get Shroud Walkered into the middle of the bearers and fall over. Also, here's another example of the like 20-30k energy shield I was talking about yesterday. Kind of good, kind of good. So yeah, that's kind of the build and how it functions. People keep asking me like, how is this build? Is it SSF viable? If you've watched any of the previous videos, I go over tips on how to roll wands, etc. in a very budget-friendly manner. You can definitely do this build without a support. Obviously, it's weaker without a support. My just in hideout tooltip without any inspired learning buffs is 5k. With Baz next to me, it goes up to 15k. But, and what you need to remember when it comes to these kinds of builds, inspired learning in general and tooltip DPS, especially path of building tooltip DPS, it's incredibly misleading. So a lot of it is down to just kind of feeling it out. So for example, in this group, I have a Guardian with crazy curse effectiveness, and I have Kayn cursing, right? His cursives give me a bunch of damage. It's very difficult for me to correctly import into path of building all of Kayn's curse effectiveness, the strength of the curses, and all of Baz's aura effectiveness and all of that good. So for example plays, if we were to just, you know, straight up import my Pee-wee profile, and also just a quick Pee-wee path of building Pee-wee tutorial, if it wants to do it, select level 99, passive ding, and we look at my kinetic blast. I apparently have with power charges, I don't get frenzy charges. Just click everything on, and crit chance lucky. I apparently have, you know, a crit chance of 70% and an average damage of, what's that, 11k. That's like for projectile explosion of 8k. Well, you then need to factor in how many explosions you're having. You then need to factor in auras and stuff. You then need to factor in curse effects. You then need to factor in all the like inspired learning stuff you're stealing. And correct me if I'm wrong, there's no really easy way of like inputting stolen stuff in path of building through stuff like inspired learning. And inspired learnings, while they're really powerful, they're not that expensive. They're like 50 to 100 C usually in a main league. And you can use whatever 6-link. You don't even really need a 6-link. Like, the belly doesn't give me damage, is what I'm trying to say. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, like, this is a build which, in its current state, has 1, 2, 3 DPS clusters in the entire build at level 99, with 1 DPS mod on a jewel, 1 DPS mod on a jewel, no DPS mod on a jewel, and this DPS mod is just lightning damage. It doesn't even scale all of my damage, right? So you can do this on extreme budgets. You can do this on all sorts of things. Just KB generally is pretty OP, and mines give a lot of just crazy generic damage scaling. And again, that is my rando tool tippy. But yeah, that's kind of my summary for today. Hopefully 100 and or rip. Either or, I'm very happy with how this character's performed, and I could highly recommend it. And also, Phase Run Master Race, boy!